sociology. I was in the history department, and he's still at the University of Jos. So let me link that up to what I said I was going to say about Professor Atahiru Jega. Shortly after I returned from the UK, I resumed my duties as a lecturer at the University of Jos. Somebody here, I won't mention the name, led us on strike. And that day, someone appeared on television to say that we were all sacked from our jobs, that we were unpatriotic. That day I shed a tear. Then we met at the Senior Staff Club on Bochi Road. Then Professor Alemika was a younger, firebrand lecturer. And the kind of thing we said, I won't repeat here. But as a union of intellectuals, we did not react in a gang-ho manner. A case was filed in court to say that the person who sacked us did not employ us. So he had no power to sack us, that we could only be sacked by our governing councils, and the governing councils wouldn't sack us. The signature or trademark of Professor Alimeka in the university, I still remember, is his old Peugeot 504. And then I asked him, what happened to the Peugeot 504? He said, unfortunately, he sold it 3 years ago, but warned the person who bought it to still use it, and the man is still using it on campus. So I welcome you, Professor Alimeka. Sarah J. IFES. If this hall were to come alive and to recount the number of people who participated in activities in this hall, I'm sure we'll lose count of the number of times Sarah was here with us in this particular place. I want to thank you so much for being such a friend of the Commission, and you continue to do so. Rushdie Makadian is the same thing. This hall, I'm sure, would have recognized you and clapped for you when you arrived, that you are not visiting for the very first time, and you have been such a good friend and supporter of the Commission. In fact, when I called you yesterday, I said, are you around? He said, I will not miss, and particularly with the coming into force of the Electoral Act 2022. The Commission has also introduced a number of new innovations that we need to perfect ahead of the general election. Above all, we need to continuously engage with citizens and stakeholders. However, while these innovations and stakeholder engagements are critical to preparations for elections, we should bear in mind that equally critical to the conduct of successful elections is our credibility as election managers, our impartiality, dogged adherence to rules, commitment to the sanctity of the ballot, and sound knowledge of the electoral process. This retreat is important, especially coming shortly after we released the timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general election, in which party primaries are scheduled to commence next week and end in the first week of June. That is from the 4th of April to 3rd June 2022. My third responsibility is to reassure Nigerians of our commitment to credible polls in 2023. The Commission has concluded work on the strategic plan 2022 to 2026 and the election project plan for the 2023 general election. Very soon, we will finalize work on the regulations and guidelines for elections, taking into consideration the provisions of the 2022 Electoral Act. The 3 documents will be published and presented to the public next month. That is, in the next few months, in April 2022. May I also seize this opportunity to reassure Nigerians that we have identified the challenges associated with the bimodal voter accreditation system during voter accreditation in recent elections. But in the most recent by-elections in 6 constituencies in 4 states of the Federation across 4 geopolitical zones, the beavers functioned optimally in rural, suburban and urban areas of Cross River, Imo, Ondo, and Plateau states. We received no complaints from voters and no reports of glitches from observers in these by-elections. We'll continue to perfect the system in the forthcoming by-elections, and I yesterday looked at the number of outstanding by-elections. I counted 10 outstanding by-elections. So we'll continue to perfect in the by-elections and the end of tenure governorship elections in Ekiti State on the 18th of June 2022 and Osun State on the 16th of July 2022. The Commission is also working on the distribution of voters to polling units across the country following the successful expansion of voter access to polling units. Very soon, we'll roll out the plan for achieving a more balanced distribution of voters to polling units. As always, we'll engage with stakeholders across the board to ensure a more participatory approach so that the exercise is seamless and voters will have a more pleasant experience at polling units on election day. The Commission is encouraged by the response of citizens to the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise. Recently, the Commission devolved the fiscal registration beyond our state and local government offices nationwide. Millions of Nigerians have registered so far, and we have since been given weekly updates of the progress of the exercise, and we have been doing so consistently every week for the last 9 months. The Commission is aware that new registrants, as well as those who applied for transfer or replacement of their PVCs, would like to know when the cards will be available for collection. The reason why we have not made the PVCs available for collection is because of the robust system of cleaning up the registration to ensure that only genuine registrants are added to the voters register. And we have been doing so, no longer using the AFIS, but the ABIS, Automatic Bimodal Identification System. And we clean up not just the fingerprints of registered voters, but also the facial biometrics. I'm glad to report that the Commission has completed the ABIS for the first and second quarter of the CBR. The Commission is meeting next week, and the detailed dates and locations for the collection of PVCs will be announced. Before I conclude, I would like to thank the International Foundation for Electoral Systems, especially, and all the development partners for your untiring support to the Commission. Each time we call upon you, you expressed readiness and willingness to support. Even where we have not contacted you, you have shown a similar interest. Rumors have it, but I'm sure it's true, that you are also committed to supporting the Commission with the printing.
Is composed of 6 professors, including the chairman, 2 lawyers, 2 seasoned civil servants, 1 journalist, 1 accountant, and 1 retired general. These are from very diverse backgrounds. Perhaps it was because of the record set by both Dr. Afarijang and Professor Jega that INEC is becoming a playground for professors. But as professors, we also know our limitation. So we are bringing these new national commissioners here, apart from the chief with the red cap, who is not new, who is an old new, for 4 basic reasons. The first one is to familiarize these national commissioners with the unique mandate of INEC as an election management body and their sacred responsibility to protect and safeguard the independence and autonomy of the Commission at all times in the discharge and delivery of high quality and cost-effective election within the context of our country, with its complex and diverse political, economic, and socio-cultural environment. Secondly, this retreat is designed to provide the national commissioners with a broad perspective of their mandate, functions, and responsibilities as election managers and administrators, and to sensitize them on the key principles of the electoral legal framework and the fundamental requirements for the conduct of elections that are in line with the highest global professional standards and international best practices. Thirdly, this retreat is designed to promote among the national commissioners an understanding of the Commission's administrative structure, its machinery, processes, and procedure, including the functions and working of the various committees of the Commission, as well as the roles, responsibility, and activities of the various departments and directorates of the Commission. Lastly, this retreat is designed to ensure that the national commissioners are aware of their obligations in addressing issues relating to conflict of interest. INEC is a very huge organization. I think we have about now roughly 16,000 staff and offices in more than 800 locations. So at the end of this retreat, we believe that the new commissioners should be able to pursue effective and efficient coordination, synergy across the departments, directorates, and field offices of the Commission, both at zonal, state, and local government level, for the delivery of the Commission's core mandate and key electoral activities. First, for the successful conduct of the Ekiti and Osun governorship election, the 2023 general election, and other future election. Lastly, at the end of this retreat, we believe that each commissioner will have developed a correct attitudinal disposition towards addressing any ethical issue that may arise in the conduct of their work and in the course of their service to the country. Thank you very much.
Resource persons, the former chairman of the commission, Professor Jogai, is here. And we also got our good friend Kwadwo Afarijan, who has the honor of being the longest serving chairman of Electoral Commission in the world. He conducted 6 presidential and National Assembly elections in Ghana back to back. For them to come and speak to us so that we are better prepared and better armed for the responsibilities to come. Well, we are prepared. Let me say, in terms of planning processes, we have concluded work on the strategic plan for the Commission covering the period 2022 to 2026. We have finished work on the election project plan for 2023. We are about to conclude work on the regulations and guidelines to govern the conduct of the 2023 general elections. And these 3 documents will be presented to the public next month. That is in April, in the next few weeks. We are happy with the progress we have made, particularly with regard to the regulations and guidelines. Recall that work on the Electoral Act was not concluded early enough before the 2019 general election, as a result of which we couldn't complete work on the regulations and guidelines. And consequently, we couldn't conclude work on the training manuals for the election. But this time around, we are happy. The Electoral Act has been signed into law. We have virtually finished work on the regulations and guidelines 10 months before the general election, which is good progress. Now, immediately we finish these planning processes, we'll then focus our attention on election administration, because that is the next critical area we need to. The functionality of the beavers, the issue of distribution of voters to the polling units. We'll also work on logistics for elections, the recruitment of training of ad hoc staff. So we have started in a very good way, and our intention is to maintain the pace so that Nigerians will have a pleasant experience in 2023. Well, election is governed by what we call the electoral legal framework. It has 3 legs, of which the Electoral Act is only 1 leg. First, you have the Constitution, you have the Electoral Act, and you have the regulations and guidelines made by the Commission. And our regulations and guidelines have the force of subsidiary legislation. So we are happy with the progress we have made. This Electoral Act is the most progressive. It covers not only national but state elections as well. And I want to seize this opportunity to draw the attention of the state electoral commissions to the provision of the 2022 Electoral Act. Going forward, all local government elections must be conducted on the basis of the same legal framework that INEC conducts local government elections in the Federal Capital Territory. Section 150 of the Electoral Act provides for sanctions where a state electoral commission does not implement the provisions of the 2022 Act. That local government election is invalid. So it's important to draw attention to the local government, chairman of local government electoral commissions to this reality. It's a very progressive electoral act, and our intention is to ensure that we fully implement the provisions of the law, and that's why we are holding this retreat.
Chairman, President Chairman, and all the dignitaries to Lagos, and to let them know a little bit about Lagos, how we operate on it. Because not many of them are familiar with the way we operate in Lagos. This electoral statistics give to them, and the present situation we are on the issue of CVR. Because like about 2 weeks ago, we went to the field, out of the local government areas to interior part of the local government areas, and we were able to capture more. But we have finished that one last weekend, and by Saturday we also displayed the register for people to make claims and objections. That will last till 1st of April. But on the 11th of April, we are coming back again full force for the last quarter of the exercise. So I've been telling people in Lagos State that it will last for only 3 months, from April 11 to 30th of June. There is not going to be any extension. So people are advised to come out and make sure they get themselves registered, transferred to new polling units, and then, like I've had the Honorable Chairman mention, that very soon the cards are going to be printed, and then we are coming back again to distribute to those who own them.
Tell us about the continuous voter registration. How is Lagos doing?
Lagos has improved since we went out of local government to interior areas. By last week, Monday, we were having about 112,000 people already captured. That is fully completed ones. We are still expecting those who have already captured about over 200,000 people are still being expected to come and can complete their registration. If they come, then it will be over 300. But by and large, we are hoping that before the end of the exercise, we should move in towards 200,000.
How important is this retreat to the electoral body, especially as we're going into elections in 2023?
Very, very important. We just have a full complement of 12 national commissioners. So they are now to see what we are. Many of them are very fresh, maybe coming from various diverse backgrounds. Some professors in university, some from the law court, and then lawyers who are now coming to electoral body. Other civil servants who have risen to permanent secretary level and directors level who are now here. So now they are going to be put into the nitty-gritty of what we do in INEC. Like you have heard also when President Ila was talking, that here about what they are supposed to do, the way they are to carry themselves, comport themselves. That's why ICPC is also coming to talk to us on what they expect us to be doing when we go for election. So preparing them for next year's election, not even next year, from June this year for Ekiti, Osun, and national general election next year. So here is where they are going to learn all the trades. The way we do business is what they are going to be taught here for the next 3 years.
You know, as the chairman pointed out, we have new national commissioners, and we need to induct them and get them to speed with the processes and procedures of the Independent National Electoral Commission. We don't have any time to waste. We have almost 10 outstanding by-elections. We have 2 governorship elections in Ekiti and in Osun State, and we are already preparing for the 2023 general election. So we don't have time to waste. We need to get them up to speed. They need to move to the states where they supervise to get acquainted with the workings of the commission, especially at the state and local government levels. And that's why we brought them here to induct them into the processes and procedures of the commission.
How will this strengthen how will this ensure we have a credible elections?
Well, you know, no two elections are the same. And based on that, the national commissioners are coming from different fields, they are coming from different professions, and they are coming from different walks of life. Now, the conduct of election is something that is unique. Our processes and procedures are unique. So they need to be guided by the processes and procedures of the commission, be guided by the ethical standards of the commission, and also to know that they have to completely drop their previous life and begin a new life, they have to be a new being, in terms of the fact that our work also requires us to live above board. It also requires us to behave like judicial officers who have very, very few friends and who only engage in election administration and nothing more. And that's why some of the resource persons are coming here to talk about code of conduct and ethical behavior for national commissioners, because we are supposed to remain above board, we are supposed to be impartial, we are supposed to be non-partisan, and we are supposed to hold a level playing ground for all political parties, for all candidates, and for all aspirants. And that is why this particular retreat is fundamental and important.